driving down the shoulder of the road. My husband's having a heart attack. I'm trying to get to Lexington Brothers. Phil, keep breathing. Phil, don't you dare leave me. I love you. I think he died.
Well, the morning that Phil lost consciousness, he woke me up at 7. He said he wanted to go to Election Brothers, that he was feeling a little discomfort in his shoulder. We pretty quickly got in the car, although there didn't seem to be any emergency. He said most heart attacks happen in the morning. And I thought, what a strange remark to make. And I said, how do you know that? And he said, I guess I read it. And just seconds after that, his head dropped. I knew instantly that he had had a heart attack. And there was absolutely no doubt in my mind that he had died. At that point, I reached for my phone and I dialed 911. The 911 operator asked me to pull over. I did that on the Elgin O'Hare, but as I pulled over, I just saw a straight shot.
When Phil arrived in the emergency room, he had no pulse, blood pressure, no respirations. We're not entirely sure how long he had been that way, but it had been for probably over 15 minutes at least. Patients who have cardiac arrest are initially brought to the emergency room. At that point in time, rapid response team is called, cardiology is called, and the intensive care team is called. Also, neurology is involved. In patients who have traumatic brain injury because of their cardiac arrest, we also involve neurosurgery. So we have a multidisciplinary approach involving critical care, emergency room, cardiology, interventional cardiology, neurology, and neurosurgery.
The biggest challenge that we have in supporting families in these situations is how do we keep them feeling like they haven't lost total control? I think the biggest challenge with them is they come into a situation where they feel helpless.
When Phil was in the emergency room, he was intubated. We put a breathing tube down his throat to reestablish respirations. He was given medications to reestablish a blood pressure and a pulse. At that time, we had two priorities. One, we had to get him to the cath lab to work to try and stabilize a heart condition which might be amenable to intervention. And the other was to try and preserve neurologic function. After his heart stopped, all blood flow to his brain stopped. And so we implemented a program that we've worked on for many years here called therapeutic hypothermia.
Therapeutic hypothermia is the process of lowering a body temperature to 91.4 degrees Fahrenheit. The process includes several simultaneous steps. The first one includes infusion of ice saline. The second one is the application of some sort of cooling device. We use surface cooling here at Alexian Brothers. The third is the use of sedation and paralysis, and that prevents the patient from shivering. The last thing is the environmental cooling. After that, the patient is cooled for 12 hours, and from there then we implement the warming phase, and the warming phase takes an additional 12 hours.
The rewarming phase is critical. It helps to control increases in intracranial pressure and helps to improve the hemodynamics of the patients.
Well, of course, this whole procedure of the ice was totally unknown to me, you know, and so it was such an interesting thing that he was so cold and his temperature was dropped to such a degree, but that he always appeared to be comfortable. I always got that sense that they were totally working towards his wellness.
Each one of us is providing our own little piece of information that's going to help the family deal and cope with that situation the best.
My first awareness was, hello, you're in a hospital and you're doing okay.
If Phil would have gone to heaven, I would want to sit here and say the same things that I'm saying now about everyone. Everyone was just great.
Karen, his spouse, exhibited such love and hope throughout the whole case, and her extended family were so supportive that seeing that kind of support reinvigorates us as healthcare providers to continue to improve our outcomes for patients.
This episode just depicted community at its finest. People coming to support Karen, people coming to pray for my recovery. We sing a song at church that has a phrase in it, God's Army of Angels. And what happened to me has been called miraculous. I think God used that staff at Election Brothers and our friends, our family. They were all members, they were all angels in this Army. Life was good beforehand. Life continues to be good now, thanks to the miracle on Beaster Field on June 11th.
Karen sent me an email after Phil had been discharged from rehabilitation, and it showed Phil in his favorite chair, reading his iPad, in his home environment, and Karen simply stated in there, "I got my Phil back."
Election Brothers, you're where it's at. Thank you.